Of course, the big story of the year is the COVID pandemic and all the ways that it changed people's lives. One of our big findings of the year is how the COVID pandemic changed people's audio consumption. To take a look at this, we delved into our share of ear study, which tracks all aspects of people's audio consumption. First, take a look at the top line on this graph. This shows where all audio is consumed by the location of consumption. So as you can see, just under half of all listening was done at home, a third in the car, 15% at work, and 4% in other places. We then updated the data in May of this year during the COVID disruptions, and you can see the location of listening changed dramatically. Fully 70% of all listening in May was done at home. The location of listening was totally changed by people staying at home quite naturally. We then updated the data further in September of this year, and you can see the numbers came back partway to what they had been historically. Things hadn't gone back to the way they were before, but we see some moderation from what we saw at the bottom of the pandemic disruptions in May. Of course, we'll keep tracking this data over time to see if once we get past this pandemic, things go back to the way they were before, or if the pandemic has permanently changed audio consumption. And that relates to a second finding that you can see on this graph here. Historically, before the pandemic, we found that half of everyone had recorded some audio consumption in their diary by 7:15 in the morning. People started their audio day very early. Once the pandemic hit, everything changed. That 50% threshold, when people had started their audio day, didn't start until 8:30 in the morning when we updated the data in May. And even in September, when we looked at it again, it had only reverted back to 8:15 in the morning. So this will be another really interesting data point for us to track to see if once we get past the pandemic, things go back to the way they were before, or whether the pandemic has permanently changed the way people consume audio.